Lively had previously filed her own lawsuit against Baldoni, accusing him of sexual harassment during the production of It Ends With Us.
It was the headline Blake Lively's team had been waiting for. In June 2025, a federal judge dismissed
Justin Baldoni's $400 million extortion case against Blake Lively is not over.
Justin Baldoni's huge $400 million lawsuit against her. On Instagram, Lively's team called it a total victory and a complete vindication. A source even told People magazine she cried with relief. To the public, the story seemed simple. The victim won, and the case was over. But what if that victory lap was just a PR move? What if the real story wasn't about what the judge decided, but what he didn't decide?
Huge update in the Blake and Justin case.
Huge. Probably one of the biggest.
You have a Hollywood superstar celebrating a legal win. Then you have commentators like Megyn Kelly holding up the court papers and asking the one question that changes everything. If this was a total victory, why didn't the judge say you were telling the truth? As the spin starts to unravel, a new fight is heating up in the court of public opinion, and people are starting to look at the receipts. 1. The victory that wasn't to get. Why a total victory might be anything but. You have to look past the flashy headlines and get into the legal nitty-gritty. On June 9, 2025, Judge Louis J. Lyman did, in fact, throw out Justin Baldoni's defamation lawsuit against Blake Lively, her husband Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist. The suit was a fiery response to Lively's initial claims of harassment on the set of their movie, It Ends With Us. Baldoni had claimed that Lively's accusations were a malicious campaign to ruin his name and take creative control of the film. So when that lawsuit got tossed, Lively's camp went on a media blitz. The message was clear and powerful. The court sided with Blake. But on her show, Megyn Kelly immediately sounded the alarm. She argued this wasn't a win based on who was right or wrong. The dismissal was based on legal rules, including one known as litigation privilege. Basically, this principle protects statements made in a formal legal complaint. You generally can't sue someone for defamation over what they allege against you in court papers. The judge dismissed the case on these kinds of procedural grounds, and he was very clear that the court was not ruling on whether the accusations were true or false. Kelly's point was sharp. The judge never actually vindicated Blake Lively. He just ruled that Baldoni couldn't sue her for what she'd already filed in her own lawsuit. It was a legal technicality, not a judgment on the truth. Yet, Lively's team presented it as a complete exoneration. According to Kelly, this wasn't just spin. It was a deliberate twisting of reality, and it was just the beginning of the case she was building against Lively's entire public story. 2. Megyn Kelly opens the briefcase. With the so-called victory reframed as a legal sidestep, Megyn Kelly and other commentators began picking apart the story Lively's team had been selling for months. The investigation started where it all began, the explosive New York Times article that first detailed Lively's allegations. Kelly and Baldoni's legal team have questioned the timing, suggesting that Lively's camp leaked her civil rights complaint to the press to control the story from the get-go. But the heart of Kelly's argument, and the one grabbing headlines, is the evidence that has since come out, receipts that she claims totally contradict Lively's story of being a powerless victim. One of the most talked about pieces of evidence is a voice memo Justin Baldoni reportedly sent to Blake Lively, which his team later released. In the recording, Baldoni is supposedly heard apologizing over and over, sounding exhausted and desperate to make peace, not like an aggressive boss. He reportedly tells Lively, "I'm really sorry. I for sure fell short," and praises her work on the script. For Megyn Kelly, this voice memo is a game changer. Does this sound like a man creating a hostile work environment, or does it sound like someone bending over backward to please a powerful co-star? Furthermore, Kelly has pointed to how the claims against Baldoni seem to get more serious over time. His lawyer has stated there was never a sexual harassment claim until Lively filed her official complaint, turning what they say was a workplace dispute into something much darker. This pattern, Kelly argues, suggests a strategy, a narrative being built for maximum damage, with little concern for the whole story. This story is getting more complicated by the minute. If you appreciate this kind of deep dive analysis that cuts through the PR spin, take a second to hit that subscribe button. It helps us keep bringing you the stories Hollywood doesn't want you to see. 3. The Amber Heard comparison and the breakdown of a narrative. The most incendiary part of Megyn Kelly's critique has been her direct comparison of Blake Lively to Amber Heard. On her show, she reportedly said, "She does appear like an Amber Heard to me," a comment that immediately sent shockwaves through the media. This wasn't just a random insult, it was a calculated argument about strategy and public manipulation. Kelly's point is that, just like in the Depp Heard trial, we are seeing a celebrity try to use the media and the Me Too movement to win a war in the court of public opinion, no matter what the facts in a real courtroom might show. Kelly has reportedly called Lively a serial fraudster, arguing that she has repeatedly misrepresented the facts of the case. She points to Lively's team celebrating the lawsuit dismissal as a total victory as a perfect example of this. The breakdown in the title isn't a literal collapse in a courtroom, it's the systematic takedown of this carefully built public image under the weight of these receipts. The courtroom where this is all happening isn't in New York. It's on YouTube, social media, and on shows like Kelly's, where every piece of evidence is being picked apart. Kelly argues that this has become a PR war, with every move being a calculated play for public sympathy. By drawing the comparison to Amber Heard, Kelly isn't just commenting on this case. She's tapping into a wider public exhaustion with celebrity trials where the narratives feel more produced than the movies themselves. She's accusing Lively of using her fame and a friendly media to create a story of victimhood that the evidence, in Kelly's view, just doesn't back up. 4. What comes next? The trial looms. Despite the dismissal of Baldoni's lawsuit, this legal saga is far from over. Blake Lively's original lawsuit against Justin Baldoni is still moving forward and is headed for a potential trial, tentatively set for March 2026. Now, the spotlight is turning directly onto Blake Lively. She will have to prove her allegations under the intense pressure of a court of law. She'll face cross-examination from Baldoni's legal team, led by Brian Friedman, who also happens to be Megyn Kelly's lawyer. Every text, email, and on-set interaction will be put under a microscope. The main question is still unanswered. Can her allegations hold up without the safety net of a PR campaign? Megyn Kelly has laid out a case suggesting that Lively's story is full of holes and strategic omissions. The defense will no doubt hammer these points, presenting their own evidence to a jury. That total victory from June may start to feel like a very distant memory as the real legal test begins. In the end, this whole affair has split into two competing stories. One is the story told on social media and in press releases, a story of victory and vindication. The other is the one being pieced together by commentators like Megyn Kelly, built from court filings and leaked recordings. It's a story that suggests a procedural win was spun into a PR masterpiece, hiding a much messier and unresolved truth. The dismissal of Baldoni's lawsuit wasn't the end of the war, it was just the end of one battle. The stage is now set for a blockbuster trial, but with her narrative being challenged and her credibility questioned, has Blake Lively already lost the war for public opinion? Let me know what you think in the comments below.